Hello everyone, welcome to our first Power BI training. Today we are going to be going over an introduction to Microsoft Power BI. My name is Matthew Davenport and I am a business intelligence developer for Student Affairs IT. I use Power BI mostly for creating reports for other departments that request them. I create all of the underlying data set, create the report, and then share both access to the data as well as access to the report in Power BI with whoever requested the report initially. So today we're going to be going over basically the differences between Power BI Service and Power BI Desktop, as well as how to navigate both softwares, and then the differences between a Power BI free license and a Power BI Pro license, which are the two license types we use mostly on campus. So I'm pretty much just going to jump right into it with Power BI Service. If you ever need to get there, you just go to app.powerbi.com. It will ask you to sign in, and once you sign in, you'll be taken to this home page here. The home page shows you various important things, such as your favorite reports, any reports that you need to go back to all the time, reports that you've recently worked on, apps that you are a part of or have access to, workspaces that you're a part of or have access to, any reports that are shared with you. This isn't all of them. Recommended apps that are created for Power BI, and pretty much anyone can download these. I'm not too familiar with these as I haven't used them myself, but if you ever try them out, maybe they have a lot of inspiration on just creating your reports and making them look really nice. There's also some videos at the bottom here and documentation on learning how to use Power BI in case these trainings just don't cover everything. There's something you really want to learn, or you just want to keep getting more advanced at using Power BI. You can get to a lot of these places from the pane on the left here. So if you want to go to your favorites, you just go here, your recents, view any apps that you're a part of, any reports that are shared with you, and you can filter them by whoever shared it with you. And then any workspaces that you're a part of, as well as your own personal workspace here. So once you're in a workspace, doesn't matter which workspace, you'll have 4 tabs up here. The one on the left is for dashboards, which is essentially just a bunch of different visuals for various reports that you've created. They don't even have to be from the same report. They could be from completely different reports, but maybe they're important information that go together. You also have your reports, which we'll go over in a second. Workbooks, which I believe are related to Excel workbooks, kind of like working with Excel, but I think you can upload Excel workbooks, honestly. I don't use this feature, so I'm not too familiar with it. And then data sets. And these could be Excel tables, files, worksheets, whatever. This could be a database table. This could be some other random custom connector that Microsoft has created for you to be able to access the data that you need in Power BI. And every report is created from a data set. So this card swipes report is created from this card swipes data set. And if I refresh this card swipes data set, then the data in the card swipes report will also be refreshed. While you're in a workspace, you can also change the view from list, like it is currently, to a lineage view. This will kind of show you where everything's coming from. So I can see that I have a dashboard here called Dashboard in a Day. This is from a training I did in the way back when. We have a report here, and the dashboard is taking its visuals from this report. This report is getting its data from this data set, which is getting its data from this Excel file. This might be another data set. These are all just a CSV file, not sure what this is, and an Excel file. And these are all connected to the Power BI gateway, essentially. So there's a gateway that somebody created for Dashboard in a Day that all of these are connected to, and I can access these files through that gateway. So yeah, that's just a good way to keep track of where all of your data is coming from and to make sure you don't have multiple data sets that could have been the same. For example, I have 2, oh no, these are different servers, just kidding. But if this was not this server here, HTSV16.1, and it was this server, then these two would be connected to the same gateway instance, if that makes sense. So I'm just going to go back to a list view because I typically like to use this, but sometimes if I'm trying to track down what data set I need to work with, I use the other view. Here you can create any new dashboards, reports, data sets, or streaming data sets, which I'm not familiar with personally, just by clicking the create button and then selecting the option that you want. So if you wanted to create a new report, go there, and then you select the data set that you would like to create the report from. So I want to create it from here. So once you create a new report, you'll have this fields pane over here that shows you all of your tables in your data set, and then each table has various fields. Here you'll have your visualizations pane. Here you can add new visualizations to your canvas. So I want to add, just say like a line chart. Oh, this might not be a great, oh gosh. Pride rating. See if we have dates anywhere. Nice. Oh, they all did it in the same day, didn't they? Okay. So anyway, that's essentially how you add new visualizations, is you select the visualization and you add the fields you want. These fields get put into buckets, although you can control which bucket you want to put a field in. So now we have various response IDs. So this axis would be like, I believe this axis here, because we're using time, so it's using day as an axis, but they were all recorded in the same day. And then our legend, which is all of these colors here and these different colored dots, is being determined by the response ID, so that's unique. So each one's going to have its own response ID and be on its own little line here, or have its own category, essentially. And then the value itself is the rating that was given. So like, this person gave it a rating of 2, this person gave it a rating of 3, 4, 5, etc. And there's various other colored dots underneath this dot too. They're not all, yeah, this isn't the greatest example here, but that's how you add new visualizations. And then the final pane here is the filters pane, where you can see any filters that are being applied to either your selected visual, the entire page, or every page within the report. If you just want to add a new page to the report, you can click this plus button down here. And if you want to rename any pages, you just right click on this, rename page, second page. So yeah, that is pretty much an introduction on creating a report in Power BI Service. Once you're done creating the report, you can just save it by clicking the save button here or clicking file, save, or save as. You can also control how you're viewing everything. So this controls like the canvas size. I want fit to page typically. You can take off like the grid lines if you want. Take off snap to grid. This is actually really nice to have on because it just snaps all of your visuals to the grid and makes them really easy to align everything together. You can lock all of the objects so they no longer move. You can view a selection page pane, which just shows you all of the visuals that you've selected, and you can select multiple by control or command clicking multiple visuals. You might be able to drag like this as well and select multiple visuals, and that just tells you what is and what's not selected. And then your bookmarks pane, which we will go over in a later training. But bookmarks can be very useful for creating a story for your report and presenting your report in a understandable manner. So anyway, I'm not going to save this report because I don't want to. Don't save. But once you have your report created and you want to, she shared this with me, and you want to share it with other people, one thing to keep in mind is that anyone viewing your report in Power BI Service needs to have a Power BI Pro license as well. What you can do is if you are creating reports using a free license, you can export the report as either a PowerPoint or a PDF and then share that file with them, although that again takes out all of the interactability of the Power BI report. Or you could create the file in Power BI Desktop, share the Power BI Desktop file with them, and then they would be able to open it in Power BI Desktop as well. The only caveat to this is that they need the same access to the data that you have, and sometimes when you're sharing reports, you don't necessarily want to give them full access to the data. So if that's the case, you would most likely need a Power BI Pro license, in which case you could share the report either via Power BI Service or the Power BI Desktop file, and then they would be able to open it regardless and not have any issues. So yeah, this is a report that Crystal shared with me, and I'm not sure if I have access. I don't think I can share this report with other people. No, I cannot. But essentially, I can open this report because I have a Power BI Pro license, and so does Crystal. So we were both able to like share this report and open it up in Power BI Service without any issues whatsoever. I think for the most part that covers Power BI Service. There's just a couple other things. So like when I'm not editing a report, I'm just viewing one. I can view any comments that are created on the report, as well as I can create new comments, add them, and then anyone will be notified about them and be able to view them as well. Or I'm not sure what this does. That doesn't look right. You can favorite the report directly from here and it'll show up in your favorites, or you can subscribe to a report, in which case you'll get like an email with it. I can't subscribe others, but I could subscribe myself, I think. And you send yourself essentially a screenshot of a certain page at a certain time. So yeah, that is Power BI Service. It's just important to note that if you are creating files with a free account in Power BI Service, most likely you are going to be the only one to open those in Power BI Service. You won't be able to share that with other Power BI Service users, and they will not be able to open that directly unless everyone has a Pro account. So now I'm going to transition over to Power BI Desktop, which is a little more powerful than Power BI Service because it has a lot more features, as well as customizations you can apply to your reports. So I'm just going to exit out of here, open up Power BI Desktop. Now the first time you open up Power BI Desktop after installing it, you'll be prompted to sign into your Power BI license, whether that's a free license or a pro license, and you cannot use the software unless you have one of those two licenses. Let's see. You'll probably have a yellow window that I do not have when you first open it, and you can just go ahead and close that, and you'll be shown the blank canvas here. So the blank canvas is kind of similar to that canvas we were seeing in Power BI Service. You have your fields pane over here, your visualizations pane, and your filters pane, and then your canvas. There are some differences though. As you'll see, you'll have this ribbon up top with a kind of similar to Excel or Word or other Microsoft products where you have important, useful functions within the program. And there's different tabs to this ribbon as well. And then a file menu where you can save your report, export it, import, and control your options and settings within Power BI. If it'll ever show up. One thing I always like to turn on, if I can remember where it is, preview features. So under preview features and options, they have various features on the current version of Power BI that you have installed that you'll be able to turn them on or off essentially. These features are preview features, so they're essentially in beta, so they're not necessarily the best. They might have bugs or known limitations to them, so be careful, but for the most part they're pretty good to have, and it's nice to be able to use features before they're technically available. So now the first thing you probably want to do when you're in a blank report like this is to get access to data, which you would do here. You can either click this little arrow here, or you can click on the button itself and it'll pull up a window. And then you have tons of different connectors and data sources that you can access. Unfortunately, there's not one from Qualtrics, which everybody would like there to be one, but it's not that simple. I typically use database ones because I work with databases, so I'll use analysis services databases, which is where we create data models, or just a regular database, which I can connect to tables or views or whatever. And then once you have that data in here, like connecting to a data set in Power BI Service, those tables and those fields will show up in the fields pane over here. So I'll just connect to one. Let's see if I can even, I don't even know where I'm going to get a data source yet. No. There we go. Sorry, I'm just copying an Excel file here. I did not have it readily available for me. So we'll just do get data. Excel. I'm going to select that Excel file that I just copied over. And this is the same file that we will be providing you in the next training. Essentially, it's just a Qualtrics survey that we have exported and cleaned a little bit in order for you to use. Actually, yeah, I think this one's already been cleaned. No, it hasn't. I'll load that data, hopefully, and you'll see it shows up here. So I only added one table, and this table just happens to have a bunch of different questions because it's a Qualtrics report. It's really complex. And then once you have that data available, you can either start creating visuals with it, or you can start cleaning, transforming it, etc. Which you can, here. On the left here, you'll see these three buttons. This middle one takes you to data, which lets you view your raw data, or what your data, underlying data looks like after all the transformations have been applied. So this is what our data looks like that I just added. It's all fake, so none of it is important. Here you have a modeling pane where you can connect all of your tables together in a data model. We'll go over this a little bit in a future training, and I only have one table right now, so I couldn't even do anything in this view if I wanted to. But essentially, if I had another table, I would be able to connect them using a relationship, and then when I filter one table down, it will filter the other one to only show me the relevant data, what I want. It's really cool, really helpful, and it's kind of the backbone of what makes Power BI so interactive and useful as a data analysis software. So I guess, like I said, this is what your data looks like. You can also, from the Home tab, I thought transform data. So this right here, this button is the Power Query editor. It will open up a whole nother editor window, which if I minimize this, you'll see that the actual Power BI window is still open. But this is the other window, and I'll just make it a little smaller, drag it around. Whatever, refresh. So then it opens up this Power Query editor where you can do all kinds of stuff with the data. So you could remove columns if I wanted. Let's remove that column. You could add new custom columns. Wow, we have a lot of columns here. I thought, yeah, add column. Okay, just do like a custom column. And then this lets you write like a little formula for how you want your column to be created using Power BI's or Microsoft's I don't even like functions essentially, and various like expressions that you can call in order to create and manipulate the data that you do have. I could create a column that just says the same thing in every single row if I wanted, or I could create a column. Yeah, anyway, you can duplicate columns. Duplicate. So now we have the same column twice, and then I could like manipulate this column. So like we could unpivot it, pivot it, group by. Yeah, I don't know. These are bad examples. But essentially, this is how you transform and manipulate your data from its raw form to how you need it to be for reporting. So if I had a date field that wasn't in the format I wanted, I could add, but I needed that format still. I could duplicate the column, manipulate the format on the second column, and then I would have two different formats for the same date, essentially. That's a better example. I should have done that. So yeah, that is how you transform and edit data. And then once it's transformed and edited, those changes will be applied, and then you'll see them take effect in your visuals and the reports that you're creating. Similar to Power BI Service, if you want to create new pages, you just click this button down here. It's slow. And you can rename them, delete them, duplicate them if you want. If they have visuals that you want to copy without copying each one individually or recreating them, then you could just duplicate the page, things like that. So yeah, I think these are various different kinds of data sets that you can connect to. These are some of the recent data sets that you've connected to. That's how you get to the Power Query Editor. Refresh your data. This just adds a visual to your report. And like you could do that by just clicking on any one of these. I think that's kind of a pointless button. Sets text boxes. This is how you could add more visuals from the marketplace, kind of like how you can in Power BI Service. If we'll ever pull up the visual. There. Okay. And then you can add measures, which are different than custom columns. A measure is essentially a calculation or an aggregation on various data points. It is not like it's not applied to every single row in a table like a custom column would be. It can be, but it's not necessarily. They're slightly different, and we'll go over the differences in one of our later trainings as well. So yeah, that's pretty much how you use Power BI Desktop. You got your 3 different panes here, which lets you customize your data in ways that you would not be able to in Power BI Service. You can also insert various things. I guess you can have parameters. I've never used these, but these could be useful. Say you need to like only show data for 1 year, but you don't want to keep changing the filter in the report. You could add a parameter, so then the user that's viewing the report can customize or change the parameter themselves instead of having to change the filter manually. Now once you're done with your report, like you can save from the file menu, save as, and then once it's saved and you have a copy of it, you can publish it to Power BI service. Just say yes. I don't care. Whatever. So I just saved that on my desktop, and now I click that publish button earlier, and you can choose which workspace in Power BI service you would like to publish the report to. I'm just going to choose my workspace, and it'll automatically do it unless there's a report with the same name already in that workspace, in which case it will ask you if you want to replace that report. If you say yes, it'll replace it. So that successfully published to Power BI service, where I can now open I created that report there, and I can open it, and it's got nothing, which is awesome. And then here, assuming that everyone had a Power BI Pro license, I could go ahead and share this with other people that need to view it. Now, one important thing about sharing reports is these three little check marks down here. So this first one lets whoever you're sharing your report with share the report. So this is kind of something, if you don't want them to share your report, you do not want this checked. If you do, then you do want it checked. This allows them to build new reports using the data set that this report was created on. So if you don't want them to be able to do that, you do not want that checked. If you only want them to view the data, you probably do not want this checked. This just sends them an email letting them know that you're sharing the report with them. That's, again, like if you want to send an email, then have it checked. If you don't check it. But I think these first two are really where it's key. It's, especially if you have this checked, you do not want them to share this and let other people let them share it and let the person that they're sharing it with build new reports, then you definitely don't want either of those checked. So just something to keep in mind for data security. Yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this training and found it useful. Please email me or Crystal at either of our colorado.edu emails. Mine is mada6251@colorado.edu if you have any questions. Thank you very much, and have a great day.